Hi, Just Readers. This is Nathan Sun-Kleinberger, teacher librarian at Mill Creek Middle School, and this is meeting number 4 of the Just Read a Book Study, Sustaining Independent Reading Success. So first, an apology. I had a nasty stomach flu last week, and so I'm sorry we could not have our meeting number 4 in person, but we're going to do it all async this week, so if you can bear with me, because I returned to work on Thursday and I really had done nothing to prepare for the meeting. So with the miracle of recording video, we can all meet together asynchronously. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. We're going to talk about where we've been and where we're going, kind of like a compass check of the course. We're going to talk about student feedback, Amato's 4-tiered approach. Then I'm going to give you a real-life reading and rapping example, and then a shameless PSA for attending meeting number 5 in person, if you are able. Homework for meeting number 5, and finally, what you all need to do to get your clock hours. All right, since it's been a minute since we've all been together, or at least we've followed me online, I want to do a little compass check rather, of where we've been in the course and where we're going. So, where we've been. Weeks 1 and 2, we discussed the importance of IR, at least according to Amato, and how it motivates kids to reading through choice, their own independent reading, and creating a culture of reading. And then weeks 3 and 4, we discussed the foundations of IR, and Amato went into detail about his reading rap strategy, which is like the routine that he has, little typo there, routine, not routing, in his classroom where he spends every day there's time to read, and then he has a rap journal where the students reflect on what they just read. And then meeting 3 or week 5 and 6, we discussed creating an intro to reading unit, even though Amato refers it to an intro to literature unit, and how you make AR a daily routine for beginning day 1 and continuing throughout the school year. So where are we going the next couple of weeks? So this week, week 7 and 8, we're going to talk about how to use rap prompts strategically to emphasize specific reading skills in the classroom. We're going to use reading feedback to check and motivate student reading growth. And then the final week, meaning 5 or weeks 9 and 10, we'll talk about how reading feedback helps lead to a celebration of reading growth. And finally, how Project Lit, the independent reading movement that Amato kind of engendered, even though he was more the advisor of this, and his students took the lead, and how it builds a community of reading beyond the classroom. So in chapter 7, Amato talks about a 4-tiered approach to student reading feedback, and I've actually gotten some questions from participants in the book study about this. Now, why am I talking about this today while I only asked you to read up to chapter 5, and chapter 6, 7, and 8 are reading for the final session? Well, because we're going to be talking to Amato in person, online, live, the last session, I don't think I was going to have adequate time to discuss this. So I kind of wanted to kind of talk about this in the forefront, and then you can read more details about it over the next 2 weeks. So here's his 4-step approach. And I want to say this is all kind of simultaneously. It's not like 1 leads to 2 and 3 leads to 4. At least that's the way I read it. But these are kind of all work in conjunction to engender feedback on students' reading. So 1 are the daily rap journals. Every day he does a reading rap. 15-20 minutes kids read. 5 minutes they reflect on the literature they're reading and kind of like, think about what they just read. Then he does a quarterly reading reflection. It's kind of like a summative analysis of their reading. So the daily rap prompts are kind of the formative work, and the quarterly reading reflections are kind of quarterly reports where you kind of get an assessment of how they're improving on their reading. That could be a character analysis. That could be a book review. It could be a personal reading reflection where the kids kind of self-assess their own reading. And then he does some surveying and conferencing. So periodic surveys. We did one where he conducted a survey at the beginning of the course. We're going to do it. You're going to do another one this week, and he tries to do it 3 to 4 times a year to get a sense of how the kids are reading is improving and where they're at as readers. And then finally, and I think this might be the most challenging, but also could be the most rewarding if it's done right, is having student reading conferences. Conducting periodic reading conferences, checking in with the students about how their reading's going and if they're meeting their reading goals. And all the previous 3 can be used as data as part of those conversations. So looking at rap journals, reading the reflections, and surveys as data points. And the challenge obviously is finding time to do that with every student in every class. Amato talks about eventually what he ends up doing is during the reading time, he schedules conferences with 2 to 3 students each time. And he talks more about that in chapter 8. And that's an opportunity we can ask him more about when we meet with him online, because I personally would like to know more about what that looks like. So I wanted to give you a sense of what this looks like in real time, about kind of the work you get from students and kind of what the feedback could look like once you get the work. And so one of our Just Readers, Catherine McLaughlin, was kind enough to give me some of her responses to a reading prompt that she gave her kids in class and as a wrap. And because she's been integrating IR in her classroom for a couple of years now, so she's kind of a little advanced in the process than some of you who might just be getting started on this. So let's take a look at the prompt she used and some of the feedback that she got from students. And then I'm just going to comment like some questions I would want to pursue with kids based upon their rap responses. So here's the prompt that she asked. Pick the song for one of the characters in your current read. What song could you picture in your character listening to and why? Explain why you chose that song for that character. Your response should be at least 4 sentences. So I like that she's connecting something that is like to their lives, music, and then connecting it to the song, to the current read that they're doing. And then she gave a very specific amount of writing she wanted from them as a response that shows that, like, you know, can they follow directions and write like up to a paragraph. So here's student response number 1. The song I chose from Katniss is Choose Your Fighter by Ava Max. I think the song fits Katniss because she has to adapt, gain stronger, learn more skills, and try and survive. The line, I know this could be a little confusing, no walk in the park, in Choose Your Fighter really fits Katniss and how she knows surviving the Hunger Games is no easy feat to accomplish. So this kid is talking about the Hunger Games or reading one of the Hunger Games books. And I like how she found a song by Ava Max and included some textual evidence from the song to back up her opinion. And this could be something I could talk about more with the student. If we're doing a character analysis, what quote could you have from the book that would kind of further validate this? And so finding a way to connect the book to the kid's life and through music in this case. Okay, let's look at example number 2. The song I chose for Belly would be Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift because she spent her whole summer obsessing over 2 brothers. The song Low Key goes with the whole story, and the book title is literally The Summer I Turned Pretty. The song also says, quote, it's a cruel summer with you, and Belly isn't really having the best summer right now because currently she likes a boy. But Conrad and Jeremiah keep rooting for her, dumbasses. Okay, I like this too because there's a clear connection between the song and the book that she's reading, which is The Summer I Turned Pretty. And there's some textual evidence from the song, but also is totally authentic. I like how the kid used the word dumbasses. Now, would this be something that they should include in formal writing, like a literary analysis essay? Probably not, but you know, the beauty of the rap is it's literally just a snapshot of what they're thinking about their books at that moment, and this is pretty authentic and sounds like something an absolute teenager would say. out loud. Okay, so here's my shameless public service announcement to attend Meeting 5 in person, if you are able. So if you can attend one meeting in person for this book study, join us on meeting number 5 on April 3rd from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Dr. Amato will be joining us live via Teams and or Zoom. We'd love for you to attend to get your question answered about his book and all things IR. And if you are unable to, and I understand people have busy lives, our convo with Dr. Amato will be recorded and posted to Canvas for you to watch at your own leisure. Okay, so here is the homework for me, number 5, weeks 9 and 10. Please finish the book, so read chapter 6 through 8 and the conclusion over time. Do discussion post number 4. We're going to do something a little different this week. What I want you to do is choose a prompt from all the collection of prompts that Amato has in chapter 5 and talk about how, if you gave this to your students, what type of response would you want from them and what type of skill are you looking for? So for example, maybe you wanted a prompt to focus on grammar or a prompt to focus on character analysis. So think strategically what prompt you'd want and why you're asking your students to answer that wrap prompt. Then I want you to find 5 wrap prompts in chapter 5 and think of it as a menu. Think of 5 that you would choose and explain why you would choose each 5 of those and what you're asking for the students. So are they going to be random? Are you going to be focusing on character analysis? Are you going to be focusing on symbol analysis? So think about like why you're strategically giving these wrap prompts for your students in a given week. I'll be giving a reading survey number 2. The link will be up to forms and complete that. Just as another way to kind of practice what we're preaching. As I said earlier, Amato gives periodic surveys, and this is kind of the second one to follow up the one we did earlier in the reading study. And then I want you to consider, there's no requirement for this, but think about a question that you'd like to ask Dr. Amato for all things IR, but we're afraid to ask. If you are unable to attend the in-person meeting, feel free to email me the question you have in mind, and I'll make sure it gets asked when we talk to him. And then finally, finish working on your final portfolio. You should be up to 8 to 10 entries of a wrap journal for your IR book, B, lesson plans for your independent reading unit, or C, a reflection journal on implementing IR in your classroom, or a combination of all 3. And finally, we'll talk about something I'm sure all of you are wondering for the final meeting. How do I get my clock hours? So, I know this book study has been real, but I know you're all wondering, well, okay, so I want to get my clock hours so I can give them to the state and go up on the pay scale. So here's what you need to do. To earn your 15 clock hours for the book study, you need what needs to be done by Monday, April 7th by midnight. So attend all meetings. And let's talk about what I mean by attending meetings. So complete all works for modules 1 through 5 in lieu of attendance. Complete and turn in your final portfolio. Complete the end of the course evaluation. You should get an email with a link from professional development sometime the week of April 3rd. And then for those who attended all 3 in-person meetings, you were given credit for the work completed during those meetings. So if you see there's an assignment and you got credit for it or got points for it, you're not sure what that was because we did it in class or during the meeting. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact me via Outlook or Teams, and I'll be happy to get back to you. I hopefully will see most of you, if not all of you, at our final meeting on April 3rd. Happy reading, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.